All right, everybody, welcome back to the Leading to a Higher Altitude podcast. I am your host, Jacob Snyder, the current Vice President of Public Relations for IFC. Today I'm joined by the amazing Sydney Smarsh once again.
Hi everyone, I'm Sydney. I'm currently serving as the Panhellenic President.
Hi, I'm Lisa Kollar. I'm the Dean of Students. I've been with the university for 25 years in various leadership roles.
Hi, I'm Adriana Hall. I one of the assistant dean of students, and this is my 20th year with Embry-Riddle, so I get free parking.
Do they actually give that to you?
Yes,
That's awesome.
I was
That's
looking
amazing.
into that when I hit 18.
That's
The
very
Golden
fun.
Eagle card.
Yes,
Oh, wow.
yeah, 18 and then 20, and then you get free parking.
Oh wow.
That's awesome. Well, I guess if you weren't a dean and you guys didn't have free parking, where else do you guys think you'd be right now? Like any other professions that piqued your interest?
Sure, I'm a graduate of Embry-Riddle twice, and I aspired to be a professional pilot, perhaps with one of the agencies. And exploring those options, I was able to land a position at Embry-Riddle and really enjoyed my time in that role. So I interviewed for one job and I've had various leadership roles. I just kept getting moved around. And so I guess I was still being challenged and given opportunities to learn and grow and doing what I love best, and that is working with students.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah, well, as you can tell, I am originally from South America with this accent. I'm from Bogota, Colombia, so I grew up in another country, went to school there. I was extremely blessed to have the opportunity to work with the U.S. government, so I joined the American Embassy in Colombia, and I thought that I found my passion there, but I also found love. So I met my husband there, and then after a few years working with the embassy and working with the State Department and having different roles, he was in the military. He did his 20th with the U.S. Navy, and then we moved back to the U.S. So government was something that I was always passionate about. But then I found this institution, and it's one of those things that it is in the water. Once you have the water, you stay there, and I love it. I love working with the students, and my undergrad was in education, so transition to higher ed. I think it was a good career path, and I enjoy getting to know all of you and seeing all the amazing things that you get to do when you graduate.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so what are some current challenges that you think fraternity and sorority communities around the country are facing, and how do you best propose that universities can help address these problems and support our students?
I would say reputation, and that's so unfair, right? Because there may be, a few isolated incidents at other universities, and then it makes national news, and then everyone makes the assumption that that's how it is in any Greek community. So I think what we have to do is you have to have strong leadership in place all the way from your sorority and fraternity leadership all the way up to wherever your Greek community reports through. In this case, it's me. And we have to work together to tell the wonderful stories. So communication is probably, I think, the priority, that we get more of those great stories out there, all of the work that you do in the community, the funds that you raise that impact and help those. So definitely think communication, tell the story. And here at Embry-Riddle, we're so fortunate to have such a great community, and we got great relationships all the way from leadership in the fraternities and sororities all the way up.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
You got to advertise your fraternity so that others can't, or sorority, so that others can't talk bad on it, because then it would obviously just be a lie. So if you put the stats and the facts out there, just helps prevent some of that bad talking.
Yeah, I think that breaking that stigma, breaking those barriers, and I think I echo Dean Kollar. I think educating the students, educating the communities, educating the parents.
Leadership.
Yes, educating your own institution. Maybe they really don't know. I often said that when I came to Embry-Riddle, I had no idea about Greek life. We don't have that in South America. I went to college, but we didn't have that. At this point, I don't think I have it, but I have learned so much from Dean Kollar. I have learned so much from Nicholas. I've learned so much from all of you. It's like a different culture in within.
I'm trying to get her to rush, by the way.
Yeah, she keeps telling me, I'm
She's
like,
got to find her family.
yes,
That would be awesome.
yeah. So yeah, I think breaking the stigma and educating is the key.
Yeah, I think education's huge, which is why I'm super appreciative that we have a session at
Student leadership summer.
no our at new student orientation.
Oh.
We have the Eagle chat thing, like a session for fraternity and sorority life, where the parents can come in and ask us questions, and the students can come in and ask us questions. I just think that's a really big thing.
Yeah, and I think that our international students sometimes don't know, and the families don't know that either. So allowing them to understand, breaking that stigma of what Greek life really is.
Yeah, and Dean Kollar already kind of hinted towards it, but leadership plays a huge role in breaking that stigma, because if you can prove that you can lead in a fraternity or sorority environment, you can prove to lead in the real world too.
Yeah.
So leadership development is a cornerstone of fraternity and sorority life. Can you share some examples of how you've seen the leaders on campus, I guess, lead?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, what we do outside the classroom is critical. And so that goes back to also really educating our community. And we've named all the different constituents that can benefit from that. But what you're doing in your sorority and your fraternity, you're developing transferable skills. And those are going to work for you in whatever career path you take. And so, just taking a look at some of our students, and I'm thinking of a few in my mind that absolutely are just very driven. They learn how to time manage. They learn how to communicate, both written and verbal. They know how to work within groups. They sometimes have to work as an individual as well. So I think you learn that skill set as well. I think you have to be organized. You have event planning. You have deadlines. You have, goals that you have to meet. And so all of those skills go towards applying them to co-ops and internships and study abroad. And so I find that a lot of our Greek community go on and do phenomenal jobs. And the feedback that I get from employers is really, I could sit here and give you tons of feedback that I have received over the years. And then as you're preparing to go out to the real world, now your resume really reflects all the great work that you've done in the Greek community. And what I also find is a lot of the members in the Greek community also go on to hold other leadership roles. And I don't know how they do it. And so they're able to really just, juggle all these different things, hold high grade point averages. Who wouldn't want that in an employee? So I think, having it highlighted, sharing your stories with employers, and then going out and trying to recreate that in your own organizations. Everything that you're doing in the Greek community is going to serve you very, very well. There are lots of students who go on to become, leaders in organizations, and it's so exciting for them to come back and say, I got my start when I was in the fraternity or I was in the sorority, and they contribute that success to the time that they had. I mean, as a founding sister of a sorority at the Prescott campus, I can tell you firsthand that I learned a lot of the skill set that I apply in every role, and currently in my dean role. I was pledge mom, so go figure. Pledge mom, dean of students, it kind of worked out, right?
That's funny. Yeah. No, that's awesome. I totally agree. Like, the person I was before I joined and the person I am now, totally different. Would have never guessed that I'd be sitting down with deans and making a podcast about fraternity and sorority life. Like, freshman me would have been so scared and no, I don't want to do that. But then you just learn so much, life lessons that can be applied anywhere, in the classroom, here, just person to person. It really just makes you a more well-rounded person, and I don't know, I love it so much.
You found your path. You found your family.
Absolutely. People that support you and want you to succeed.
All right, so we kind of touched on this earlier, again, as with the last question, but the fraternity and sorority community often faces scrutiny from both within and within and outside of our organizations. So, can you share a time where you navigated a particularly challenging situation or controversy, and what lessons did you learn from that experience?
You have a good example. I have one.
Well, you know what? I think that in our positions, in this specific role, we get that a lot. We get the pushback, you know? It is always gonna be hard to find that happy medium with families, happy medium with the students. So sometimes we have to make those decisions that we know not everybody is going to agree with that decision. But at the end is, like, in my role, in my position, is I need to understand that I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing the right thing for the student. I'm doing the right thing for the institution, and I'm making the decision that is not going to jeopardize my integrity as an employee or as an individual. But to answer to your specific question, yes, every day. I think every day you make those decisions that you're like, oh, you know what? I don't know if that's the right thing. Especially when you work with the students, especially when you work with humans, you know, because at the end you are developing so many skills, but this is your career. And any decision that I make in my role is going to somehow influence that path that you have. So I always think, how am I making the best decision for that person, for this student? Did that answer to your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's perfect.
Okay.
Being cool.
I can think about maybe the parents, who want to handhold you all the way through. And so sometimes I am not, the best person for them to come and say, hey, I need for you to do this for my student or do that. I have to say, no, you need to empower them, to learn on their own, make their mistakes. We all fall down and we're going to get back up. And, really the most important thing is, what did you learn from that experience? And are you going to grow and you're going to move in a different direction? So sometimes I have to advocate for the students, even to the parents, right, to allow you to, be your own person, be independent. I remember going to Embry-Riddle, and I decided that I was one political party and my parents were a different one. So I told them I was changing political parties and that they were in the wrong political party and they needed to change too. And so, it's really funny. I really got the whole family to change political parties after, I explored on my own. So, that's just an example of how someone comes off to college and they grow and they learn that, they really like green beans as opposed to they don't like green beans, kind of a thing. But I think, sometimes we get pushback because parents still want to keep you, as their little one. And it's hard to let go. But I've seen students absolutely thrive in just trying to get the parent to just come, relax, let them go, let them learn. So
That's so true. Yeah. And I definitely felt that, like, coming in as a freshman. It was like, you're here and it's your time to get your work done and do everything your way. And I loved it. I loved that aspect of being able to just do everything on my own, be 1,000 miles away from my parents. Like, and I wouldn't be here right now if that didn't happen. So, like, that's just awesome. I didn't even know that you guys tried to do that. It's just,
I promise I'm the surrogate mother to that. I'm like, I'm the mother now, so just let me make sure I'm watching after your student, and that makes them have a little bit of reassurance. But it's still very difficult, especially when they're thousands of miles away. So
absolutely. Okay, reflecting on your own college experience, how did sorority involvement shape your personal and professional journey? And how does that inform your approach to leadership within the fraternity and sorority life community?
Going through the experience myself, I really understand the family aspect of it. And so recently I was at the Prescott campus and word of mouth started going and everybody's like, oh, we have a founding sister here. And so, I'm walking around campus and, girls were coming up to me, and of course I knew they were in my sorority because they had their shirts on and they're like looking at me, and I look, I'm in a suit. I look like, who is this person? And I'm like, hey, come here, sister, give me a hug, right? And they're like, oh, so they run up and they hug me, and it was just like there was no years between us. It was almost like I was back in the sorority, and there was just this understanding and connection that we had with one another. And so for me, just having that, I haven't talked to you in 10 years, but I can pick up the phone and I know that you would be there for me is just an incredible feeling. So I think going through the experience myself really shows that there is a bond. There is reasons why we have certain rituals. As a dean of students, though, I also take it beyond that. And I really try to push and promote that love beyond your own sorority, beyond your own fraternity. I also married an Embry-Riddle alum who's also Greek. And so, and we have children who will find their own families. I have a daughter that's found her family, her path as well. So we've kept the Greek community very alive in my house because we do believe in the traditions and the values, and we understand that aspect of support and caring for one another. So I think it really did help me in all my roles that I've had, is that I really do try to take those core values that I had, strong work ethic, strong communication skills, positive attitude, humility, but really the most important, and I say this a lot in all my speeches. I know people are like, I've heard this 100 times, but it is so true. You got to walk the talk. Empathy, right? We got to care for each other in and outside of the Greek community. So that's really what my experience gave to me.
That's awesome.
Well, unfortunately, didn't have it in
But she
college.
might.
But I think that one element that I take from this group is that tradition, and I'm all about tradition. I'm all about bonding. I'm all about family. So one thing that I see our students, and one thing that I enjoy that Greek community, is that sense of you belong and you are part of the family, and I see it in the fraternities. I see it in the sororities. And that's something that I take from here. And when I go home, I proudly talk about Greek life like I know what I'm talking about, because I feel like it has given me that opportunity to continue those traditions that I have in a different atmosphere, in a different setting.
So, for the last question that Jacob has prepared, on a lighter note, what's one memorable or humorous moment that you've experienced during your time as a dean that truly embodies the spirit of fraternity and sorority life and camaraderie?
I would say last spring at the awards ceremony, I was going through a very personal, time in my life. My mother was very ill, and, it was, really tough. You're feeling all these different emotions, and you're not, really thinking about much of anything. And Nicholas was like, "You're going to be there, right? You're going to be there." Sure, I'm going to be there. I wouldn't miss it. I really enjoy watching all of our fraternities and sororities get awards. And so when Nicholas got up and was giving me an award, he starts reading about this person, and I'm like, oh, I won't say a bad word, but I'm like, oh, that's me, right? And so I was just, I think that came at a time where I just really needed that love. And, and to see the students in the room just yelling and screaming and clapping, I just truly felt the love. And I think for me, I don't know that was a humorous moment, but that's a moment that I remember as a dean, being just that feeling of supported and cared for. So yeah, that one's the one who comes to my mind.
That's a great story.
I wouldn't say it was a humorous moment, but I learned from one of the students, one of our young first year student that was rushing, and she told me that she was going through that exercise, and because I didn't know, I'm like, I want to learn about this, and she showed me the whole process, and she showed me the pictures, and again, it's not humorous, but it's like all the lives that you touch, all those little points for this young lady, how important was for her to be part of this family, to be part of this group. And she's telling me, she's educating me on the process. And I was as stressed as she was going through the process. And I kept texting her, okay, so how is it going? She's like, I'm sitting. And I'm like, is Nicholas around? Are you going to get in trouble for being texting? Don't tell him. But again, is one of those things I feel like you are making a difference, for this young individual. She's first year and she's trying to find her path. And at the end, when she was selected for this one, seeing that she was crying, I'm like, this is a big thing, So I feel like they learn a lot, and you touch many groups of students, whether you want it or not. This group means a lot for students, and it means family.
I'm thinking she's really wanting to rush.
That's what it sounds like.
We gotta get you in touch with the recruitment chair.
Wow,
Go
sir.
and find your family. I love it.
It won't be as stressful for you. Don't worry.
I hope so. I hope so.
I don't know. When you don't get picked, that could be very tough. Like, you want the dean? One of the deans?
I don't know.
That could work for you or against you, right? I don't know.
Or both.
Or both. Yeah. Just saying.
Oh, that would be interesting to see. That would be very funny.
It will.
Fall 2024, look out. All right, well, thank you guys for sitting down. Unfortunately, don't have any more questions. We like to keep these kind of short, sweet, to the point. But I do appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy schedules, getting this done. I hope you guys enjoyed. And for everybody listening, we'll catch you on the next one.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.